Welcome! If you're a leader who feels like your team is sitting on these brilliant ideas that just never seem to see the light of day, well, you've come to the right place. Our goal here is to give you a new mindset and some really practical tools to finally unlock all that trapped potential. So, let's dive right in. So here's our game plan. We're going to start by uncovering the real barrier to innovation. Then, we'll get into a fundamental mindset shift that honestly changes everything about your role. From there, we'll jump into 3 hands-on exercises you can use right away, and we'll wrap up by looking at how to make all this a sustainable, continuous practice. Okay, first things first. We have to understand why so many of these well-intentioned innovation initiatives just fall flat, you know? The problem, it turns out, is often a lot deeper than we think. Oh man, we've all been there, right? That brainstorming session is full of incredible energy and then nothing. It just fizzles out. So why does this keep happening? It's such a common frustration. But the answer isn't a lack of good ideas. The real problem is we're trying to innovate using a broken, totally outdated organizational model. You see, the old playbook looks at an organization like it's a machine. It's rigid, it's predictable, and it's controlled from the top down. But today's world isn't a machine, is it? It's a dynamic, complex, and deeply interconnected system. Trying to use that old playbook in this new reality is kind of like trying to navigate New York City with a map of the ocean. It just doesn't work. And this brings us right to the core idea of this whole workshop. If we want to unlock real, lasting innovation, we have to make a radical shift in perspective. We have to stop seeing our organization as a machine and start seeing it for what it truly is, a living system. This is the brand new lens we need to be looking through. Your organization is what's called a complex adaptive system, or CAS. Think of it like a bustling city, or maybe a coral reef. It's an open system where all the individuals, the agents, are constantly interacting. And here's the key. Real innovation emerges from these interactions on the ground, not just from big commands sent down from the top. And this is what that actually looks like. It's not the neat, tidy pyramid we see on an org chart. No way. It's this dynamic, sometimes messy, web of relationships. This is where the real work gets done. Ideas and influence don't just flow up and down a chain of command. They travel along all these different connections. This right here is the true nervous system of your company. Now, these living systems have 4 really fascinating properties. Self-organization means your team can find incredible solutions without you micromanaging every little step. Emergence is that magic moment when the group comes up with a brilliant idea that no single person could have created alone. Feedback is just how the system learns and adapts. And then there's nonlinearity, and this one is a real game changer. It means that one tiny strategic nudge, like changing a single question in a weekly meeting, can create this massive positive ripple effect across the entire system. So if your organization is a living system, what does that make you as the leader? Well, you're not the machine operator pulling levers anymore. Your new job is to be the gardener. Your role is to create the conditions, the environment for innovation to grow all on its own. And just like any good gardener knows, before you can plant new seeds, you have to prepare the soil. And that means you've got to find and remove all those hidden barriers, the weeds and rocks that are currently stopping anything new from ever taking root. And the good news is, systemic research gives us a really clear diagnostic tool. Just take a look at these 6 common barriers. Ask yourself, is our strategy unclear? Is our management structure so rigid it's actually choking new thinking? Is communication broken somewhere? Be honest, these things don't just block ideas. They silence the diverse perspectives you absolutely need to innovate. So use this like a checklist to find the rocks and weeds in your own garden. Okay, so once you've started clearing the ground, the next step is to actively cultivate the right conditions. But how do you actually measure that? How do you know if you're building an environment that's genuinely creative? Well, you need a rubric. And Amazon, well, they provide a masterclass in this. They don't have these vague values on a poster. They have functional mechanisms. Look at bias for action. It's a clear rule that says, hey, 70% of the data is enough to make a decision. Let's go. Or disagree and commit. That isn't just a nice suggestion. It's a built-in process that makes it safe for people to debate, but ensures everyone gets behind the decision once it's made. This is how you build a healthy, creative ecosystem. All right, let's get to the fun part, the toolkit. With the right mindset and a prepared environment, it's time for action. Here are 3 incredibly powerful, fear-free exercises that you can use with your team literally tomorrow. Okay, our first exercise is inspired by the legendary Ferrari Styling Center. It's called the Divergent Sprint, and it is all about generating the widest possible range of ideas without any judgment, without any preconceived notions. It's about pure, radical experimentation. The process here is just beautiful. First, you set up the hard boundaries, the non-negotiable constraints. Then, inside that sandbox, your team just goes wild with experimentation. As concepts start to take shape, you quickly check them against the constraints, not to kill the idea, but just to make sure it's viable. And finally, you all converge on the most promising concepts to develop further. It's this perfect balance of total freedom and sharp focus. Next up, we have a tool from Amazon's legendary playbook, and this one flips the entire product development process right on its head. The whole goal? To make sure you are relentlessly, obsessively focused on customer value from the very first day. So, instead of starting with an idea for a product, you start with the customer. The team's very first task is to write the press release and the FAQ document for the finished product. Think about that. This forces everyone to spell out in plain language what the real customer benefits are and to think through their questions and concerns ahead of time. These documents then become the guiding stars for every single development decision that follows. And our final exercise is a fantastic method for super rapid democratic idea generation. It's inspired by the workshops of the new European Bauhaus, and it's designed to get the maximum value out of a diverse team in a really short amount of time. The process is so simple but so powerful. Everybody prepares 3 concepts beforehand. Each person gets just 1 minute to present each idea. No long speeches, just the core concept. And as they're presented, all the ideas get mapped out on a shared board. Now, the magic here is twofold. First, every single voice is heard equally. And second, the group can suddenly see these emergent connections between different people's ideas that were completely invisible before. It's amazing. All right, let's bring all of this home. The tools are fantastic, but the real goal here is to understand that fostering innovation isn't some one-off project with a start and an end date. It is a continuous, evolving practice of leadership. So, here it is. This is the key takeaway. Your job isn't to execute a single big innovation project. It's to build an organization that can continuously sense what's happening and respond to its environment. Your real job is to lead a process of constant adaptation. This table really sums up the entire leadership shift we've been talking about. We're moving from working in these isolated functional silos to working cooperatively across all kinds of disciplines. And we're shifting from this narrow focus on just our own organization's goals to a much wider awareness of our impact on the entire ecosystem we operate in. So, to wrap up our workshop, I'm going to leave you with this one question. Thinking of your team as a living, breathing system, what is the one small, smart, systemic intervention you can make tomorrow that could start a powerful, positive ripple effect? What's your first step?